Welcome to Durga's Tantra podcast. My name is Disse. We are sitting here in Ecuador in our school in this moment. We share teachings of Tantra, yoga, arts and shamanism so that you can get a taste of it and how all this teaching dance together. We created this podcast and we really hope enjoy it. Aho. Welcome to Durga's Tantra podcast. Today we will share empowering knowledge. I would like to tell you how Tantra, yoga, arts and shamanism dance together. I am in this moment in Ecuador in Durga's Tiger School, and that are the techniques which we are sharing with our students if they come for a long retreat, yoga teacher training, or just retreats for themselves in between 4 and 9 weeks, living here in community, in an ashram, and learning together. Empowering knowledge. What does it mean for me? All that what is taught here is knowledge based on experience, and first of all, based on my experience, on my life experience. I found out that knowledge and little techniques which really have power are very simple. So what I selected for the training and for the retreat time here is this sort of simple techniques, which are, I would tell them they're genial. You say in English, genial. That means they are not simple, trivial. Simple because they don't have depth, so it's simple, like a teleserie with a lot of action and emotions and things. No, simple means when they came up, when humans found them all over the world, they were so much lived and analyzed and lived that now they are simple again. So every one of these techniques have a lot of depth and a lot of experience behind it. Yes, and Tantra, the way like we understand it, it's a path where yoga, arts, and shamanism are a total part of the tantric path. So this, seemingly for different paths, come together at one path where we teach and experience in different parts of the world in different times, but a lot of the techniques are very, very similar or alike. For not forgetting it later, to say, if you teach here at the school, the teachers we have a lot of knowledge behind. If one teacher teaches art, it's not somebody who has just teaching art, it's somebody who is teaching, is making theater, is a theater director, is a film director, and then he teaches here just 4 or 5 times afternoons, but he has all this knowledge behind him. So it is simple, but you feel the depth of the knowledge, because not only what you learn in an afternoon is that what you take, you also learn something which is deeper than the thing which you just do in this moment. Or if we have Tantra teachers or yoga teachers, we are teachers who have years of experience. I'm a tantric, or did the first Tantra course 30, more than 30 years ago. So that is all this experience which makes that I can tell you it's really easy what we show you, you just have to do it. So let's start. Again, Tantra, it is one of the oldest paths of knowledge which are still known because they were written down. So the tantric techniques in the West in this moment are more known, like Neo-Tantra, it's about sexuality, relationships, and love. Then it was abused by selling sex and prostitution with the word Tantra, what made it a little, has the dangerous to use if you mean this old tantric sacred path. And it's coming from Asia, from India. But it is said, it is really what I said, one of the oldest knowledge. It came first from Shaktism, from the time where the patriarchal system hadn't taken over. And it was really teaching whole lifestyle where arts and creativity is one very important thing which just happens with you when you use the techniques. But they also included in a spiritual path love, eros, and sexuality. So for me, that was the point where I entered, because I was living with a partner, and in this time I was working with the Sufis, with the Pir Vilayat Inayat Khan. In this time he was a European Sufi master. Now his son had taken over as he passed away. And but with the Sufis, it was a path of heart. And again, many of the techniques were very alike. It's silence, not eating much, being in nature, meditating, singing, dancing, which you will repeat in the most of the spiritual practices of experiencing spirit and opening channels. But sexuality, lived sexuality in between man and woman, was not part of the teachings. And that went so far that one time when I was in the Sufi camp in the Alps, with a lot of music and singing and a lot of joy, but there came a didgeridoo player. And he was really playing, and maybe you know the instrument, it's just one tube, very often now from bamboo, but coming from the Australian Aborigines. And it has very deep song, very deep. And Pir Vilayat Khan decided that he don't want that this is played during the training there or during the retreat there, because he's feeling we are activating too much the first two chakras, and that this makes not really sense in this spiritual context. For Tantra, it wouldn't be like this. In the Tantric path, you say, no, the first two chakras, our root chakra and our, they call it sexual or sacred chakra, they are totally part of the path. And you cannot be a spiritual being and a whole human when you cut the first two chakras out as dirty or low energy or animal chakras, no, with the animal way of sexuality, of neediness. Tantra say no, that is our biggest center of energy. I mean, here life is made and born. So it is just to become conscious about it. And then if we really include it, and also the love from the second chakra, with it's a relation when we are young and we just fall in love, but all the old patterns which we learn from our parents, grandparents, and other ancestors are also still dancing. I'm really very often the total victim of what's happening to me in these first big loves. That is something we have to live, and we have to clean. Clean is also just become aware of them. What is happening inside of me? where I'm still stuck in the old knowledge what I got, which for me is not true. Where do I live things which for me are not true anymore, but I'm still living them because the pattern is just taking over? How can I step out of a pattern which is so strong? So all these questions which are concerning the first two chakras for Tantra are totally important to live them and to go through all these processes before you can then go up and live this beautiful, sacred love, which is coming from your heart chakra, going through your centrum of willpower, and then with this power entering your heart. And from there, then you go more up through until you come up into your last chakra, where you just connect with the divine, having your channel open. So from the tantric yogic point of view, from this old knowledge, you cannot cut a tree and say, over on top of the earth and say, okay, the roots I don't like, I only want the green and the flowers of the tree. But the earth is dirty. I don't want to treat that. No. Not possible. The tree will die. And we humans also, it's very easy to make us obedient when we feel that which is one of the strongest life energies, the life energy in the strongest form, first 2, 3 chakras. If I feel that is dirty, that is not okay, that is sin, I mean, that is what the Catholic Church did, made out of this very strong energy. In this moment, you are cut as a human, and you will never become whole. And one of the reasons, from my opinion, why so often you have holy men who say they are living celibacy, making love secretly, or what the Catholic Church happened a lot, then making love with kids, all these sort of perversions happen when this energy is not really cleaned and is not worked. So if I try to cut it off, it's bad, then it finds its own very ugly ways, because it is, again, it's life energy in the strongest form. Usually it finds its ways. In the Buddhists, they say the ascets who are living up in the caves, they have the most naked women, beautiful dancers around them, because very often they live like the ascets, but in their head and their fantasy, if it's not worked through, but just, again, just cut as not okay, as not good, the first 2 chakras, then they just take over in some forms. And if it's in fantasies and your inner films you create. Okay, so that for me was totally important, because I felt in this time I'm having a partner and I want to live partner. And sex for me is really making love. If we can make sexuality in this conscious way of looking into each other's eye, being slow, laughing, communicating, all this beauty of coming together, then it cannot be sin and it cannot be cut off. It would be totally important to integrate it to my spiritual life. No. And yes, even if like people saying it is making love, it is Liebe machen, no? Because if it's made like this, it creates love and it creates harmony and a big tenderness in between couples. And that is something, if you have fights or problems or sadness, or you're hurt with your couple, you need all these little techniques, which one is just, even in the worst moment of a fight, where you get conscious, wake up a moment and say, shit, where I'm standing, I don't want that, but I go on, to say, hey, let's just embrace this and breathe together now. And if both have the discipline to do that, something totally changes. And you have it, you feel it makes, because I have this experience quite often, to stand in this moment. And we really learn to stop, embrace us, and breathe. And it makes a big, like a peso, like weight falling off you. And suddenly you see your partner again, and you see yourself, and you are still not feeling, oh, he's right, I'm right. But it's not freaking important anymore who is right and who is not right. It is just, hey, here we are in a difficult situation. Okay, let's see how we solve it in a different way. So that is one of these little, very powerful tools which Tantra is still there, it's still sharing. And you feel, I mean, it's really easy. You just have to do it. And so a lot of the tools we use here in the school are of the tantric yogic path. The yogic path, defined as yoga, came later than the tantric path, and many, many, many techniques are totally alike, not just a little bit. So both want to come to Atman, to the whole self, want to develop this, want to get to this form of enlightenment where I open up and spirit can take over me, myself, and my life. So you open so much up, and so all the technique they are shared, you find then again little jump in shamanism. Yeah, so it is long silence. It is being alone in nature. It is connecting with nature, with trees, with plant spirits. The Shipibo, you go 1 month, and then later 3, and then later half a year. You are sitting alone in a hut, and the only one you see is your shaman who is leading you in your path of becoming shaman. And the first year, you just learn to connect with a little flower who is a special flower who can connect with humans easy, and she starts to teach you in dreams, not only about this little flower, about all the plants who are in the same family. The next year you go to a bush, and the next year you go to a big tree and you start to learn from nature what is said. And that is, again, very important, because usually if you read anthropologic literature, they will write shamanic wisdom is given on since generation from the shaman to his apprentices or his sons or daughters, no? And the shamans, which I talk to, say, no, it's not like this. The only thing we can show these techniques which open you up to knowledge. And then, for example, the plants teach yourself. They teach you what we can show. The Shipibo told me like this, what we can show younger persons who want to learn it, the path to the mothers. And if they find the path to the mothers will teach them all what they need and what is their path. We only can help them onto the way, and that are techniques like being alone in nature and not meeting and eating very, very little, very special food. Is singing, is making music. One of the main techniques which I used. So these techniques you find again in shamanism, you find again in yoga, and you find again in Tantra, and you find again in Sufism. At the end, you find them in all the still being alive spiritual paths, which they say we are paths of the heart, and we are experience-based paths. The knowledge, which the Shipibo shaman tells me comes from the mothers, the knowledge that the Buddhists say you just have to wake up to it. No, the tantrics say no. We are all part of the divine. The human has the goddess flame inside of him of consciousness, or they say we are a soul who is making experiences in the material world, which you cannot make in the spiritual worlds alone, and it's a soul who wants to make these experiences. So we are not a body having a soul in a little soul. We are soul making experiences in the material world. So it is seen different, and then they say the big lake of knowledge, of wisdom, every human has inside. No, it is not that other people can really teach us. Again, what they can teach us, create spaces, frames of experiencing. And then through the experiences, I connect with my own deep lake of knowledge, how they call it, or I travel to the mothers, or I open my channel and suddenly, or in dreams, it's another important technique that you get information for yourself at dreams. But then it is your knowledge, your experiences, you know what happened inside you. What is another learning is to trust yourself, what you experienced, especially in the Western world, where we are a little cut off all these techniques, and it's very easy for us to think, it's not true, I just imagine it. I'm a little crazy, better forget it, and things like this. So it's totally important also to have testimony sometimes from other people who experience something similar in their way. And all these passes say, hey, from there, you go to theory, because then you have your experience and this you can compare with the theory. And sometimes you will say, wow, that is great. Yes, I experienced that, and what this man or woman writes in theory, yeah, that makes sense, that makes a bigger context. Or you say, no, that is not, no, that had nothing to do. I don't feel that this person is right for me, what I'm reading there. You become yourself, your own authority. Now you have the authority whether something for you will make sense and is right or not, being an experienced person or not. So that's why all the passes of heart, which want that the person, the human, get empowered, connect you with the techniques with spirit, and they connect you through experiences. So in Tantra, you say it is said, do what you want. Do what you want. It's the only rule, with consciousness and love. So I mean, there is no other rule. Do what you want in your life with consciousness and love. So the rule, consciousness and love, the moment you feel, wow, that's great, no? Other religions have so many thousands of rules. Here, I'm totally free. So now it comes. What is being free? From what is not so important, but for what am I free? What is my path? Where's my responsibility for my life? How do I gain consciousness? Because the more I travel my path with these experiences, the more I feel how unconscious I am. Or, for example, and what is love for me? What is love? Is it the jealous love I'm having because I want my partner only for myself? Or is it, if when I feel this being jealous, for example, I feel, okay, I am jealous now, I'm conscious about it. Maybe it's coming from older time, from older experiences. At the same time, I understand that this is an old pattern I would like to change. So I accept that I'm not there already in this big consciousness, but yes, I'm going towards it. No, so that is the invitation of this only tantric rule. And you find this again, always expressed a little bit different, but you find it, I know with the Sufis also, that you are responsible for your life and that you are responsible to open your channel and live your passion, live what you have to live. Also then and the shamanic path too. What is interesting for me too is that in the Sufism I found it, what really connected me at the beginning, and in the old Tantra and in Shamanism, is that we should live in this world. That some people, yes, they can be as cats or should be, but the depth of this passes say, no, you are here to experience love, to experience family, to experience the material world, to experience all the feelings you can feel. You go make all the mistakes you have to do, and all this you need to become more consciousness. It's not about to step out and just sit in the mountain of the cave. It can be very helpful, yes, to go a month, 2 months, 3 months out of your everyday context, to just go down and say, hey, where I'm standing now, I put all my energy in opening my channel to understand again on a deeper what I'm here for and what is my next steps. But that is a different thing than just avoiding the mundane world. Buddha had there also a very nice commentary. He says, okay, if you come from your mountain and you think you are enlightened, go and visit your family. So, and if you have been on paths like this and go home and see your parents and family, or a partnership which has been difficult, you know what he means. No? Yes, so that is the things which for me were important, that spirituality doesn't need that I totally cut my everyday life, and it doesn't need that I create a mask of now I'm enlightened, or again, I'm better than you because I have more experience, you are the younger one, so no, that I can feel, hey, I'm on my way, you are on your way, and they are both same important, and we all have this flame inside of inner knowledge, and we can all wake up every moment, no? That is another thing what I like of this paths of experience or the paths of heart, is this humility which is created the more you are on the path, but also the joyfulness is starting to open up, and you get this, I call it the smile behind my eyes, to awaken my inner testigo, my inner witness. Who is this? What is this part inside of me which watches me? All what I do with love and tenderness, even in the worst mistakes, it is there seeing me with love and tenderness, benevolent compassion. Yeah. This testigo also has a voice, but there again, you need to step out of this everyday life wheel, hamster wheel, and just be a little outside to start to connect with this voice. Yeah, so that were for me the beginning of different paths, and the other, then there are paths which have different energies they use. No, the now known paths of Tantra and of yoga, how we are teaching them now, are more working with this very fine energy. That means if I really want to go down into meditation, or if, when I want to drop my personality mask, even if I want to, with breathing and with meditating and with singing, it takes time. And that is totally great. We hear you there some of the still lift shamanism practices. The shamanism practices we use here have two accents. One is to bring us faster together as a group, as a community. So, for example, we use a sweat lodge. On the second day, we have a group here because a sweat lodge, also called Temazcal or Inipi, depending from which culture we take it, but that is also a very simple tool. You have a big fire, you heat stones, then you crawl into, it can be made only with blankets, into a little hut where you can just sit in, or we have one which is from earth made because we are living here, and the North American Indians who were living in villages, they had it with earth, and the nomads, they're having just with blankets, but it's the same. Inside, you are just sitting in the darkness, you go into the womb of Mother Earth and you sweat together. And originally you were naked. When you were, depending now in which culture you were doing this ritual, you have some clothes on, but you are together there. It's dark. You are sweating. You are praying collectively with loud voice. You connect with deep nature, with all the four elements, with the air and wind, with the fire. You connect with the earth, with the water, and that with all the spirits of the place. So that creates such a powerful energy together with the fire in the middle, which is creating already a channel up with spirit, that everybody who crawls out when it's finished the ritual has left the personality mask inside. Your body doesn't allow you to hold it on anymore. The body is totally helping you. Hey, let go, it is too much. And also helping your psyche to say, hey, here we are for that. And it's hard and I'm hot. Yes, by that I decided to be in here. And yes, here I am and here I stay. And even if in between the four doors, 4 times the doors open, your styles come in, if I have to leave, it's also okay. Because this time, until here and more, I couldn't go. And also to accept that, even so I decided to stay, today was, I couldn't, okay. Be, again, benevolent compassion with yourself. So this ritual is so strong that the third day, the group is there where it's not important anymore how old you are, whether you are studied or whether you are coming, I don't know, with as a cook or hairdresser or selling things in a supermarket, or if you're an architect or you're an artist, if you're poor, if you're rich, if you're a man, if you're a woman, it just drops off. We are just here together and we feel we are on a path of transformation. We want to transform our lives and we want to gain personal power so that we feel that we are co-creators of our life. Yes, co-creators means I feel responsible, that I follow the what I feel I'm here for to do, like to say it like that my will for my life and spirit's will for my life here fall together. So it becomes one will. And in this moment, I become a co-creator for my life because now I have to learn how to listen to the signs, use special techniques, what I say, go wrong, being furious with myself, being furious with others, take it back inside of me, being afraid, things work out, things don't work out. All this, what it makes to be alive, loving somebody, being lonely, losing love, being totally lost in depression, being in total hide. All this I can live and watch me live with benevolent compassion, being on this path. And if I feel that now I'm with other people who are together on this path, coming from different parts of the world, different social backgrounds, men, women, different colors of the skin, and we feel that we are all the same, that is a powerful technique. And that is what's happening very fast through, for example, a sweat lodge. So from then on, we still go on meditating and all that, but from then on, it's much easier that you can accept that everybody who is in this moment here for this time, in this space, for learning together, experiencing together, that we are together here for some reason, and nobody is more important than the other one. And that we help each other and support, not help, support each other on this path. And we don't have to hide behind these masks. Yes, so that is shamanism. And then the next shamanism accent, what we are putting here in the time we are here, is really techniques, knowledge, powerful techniques, how to connect with a plant, with a power animal. All techniques which help me later in everyday life to stay centered with myself. No? And again, they are easy. How I go into the world and read the signs, for example. And then you suddenly understand how can it be that we don't teach children to do so, to find their path. And then the more you start to make this question, why school is, no, in the Western world is as it is, why for the Western world is so important that everybody goes in the same school. What do we really learn there? Suddenly you feel, it's a little strange because usually when I learn with fascination, I learn one thing and I want to do this for a whole time and I go deep. And then, for example, I am totally interested now in numbers and mathematics. Then I want to go deep and every day deeper, it fascinates me. I go, and next time it's coming, language becomes a really interesting thing and we go deeper into one thing. But it is not really helping learning from the way our brain works is 2 hours English, 2 hours mathematics, 2 hours this, 2 hours this, or 1 hour this and that. So usually it makes that you get very far away from these teachings because you should just repeat what somebody tells you. And that is not empowering. And if you accept that early enough, that what others tell you or what others judge whether you are right or not, and you accept that very early because that is what you learned as a child, it starts that is one of the social patterns to be really difficult to do it different, to not being afraid and just say, okay, if everybody tells me it's bullshit, but yes, I go because I feel I have to try that. No, how you didn't learn that, no. So next thing is arts. No, the next technique which we use is arts because there we work with the creativity in a way that we express things which happen inside of us. And you can express them through singing, through theater or clown. You express them through painting, but you give something out and give it a form. No, that is also what we humans can do. We can give a special form and we create it inside ourselves. Arts can also mean that I accept a given form and become great in this free inside of the form. In the Western world, it was one of these art was the classical ballet, where the lot all had the same steps, and you became alive in this very rigid form. In the Asian old knowledge, they have also theater in Japan, where every step is given, and you become live in the form given to tell the special story. And what we in the school here learn about form is the yoga we teach, the Kaula Tantra yoga, because there the form is also fixed. It is said, you never know, it is the oldest, I would say, one of the oldest sessions which is still given on. And there you can feel that all these asanas are born for meditation. You can start to learn that your body somehow knows them. And that with the more you learn to go inside yourself, the more you find these asanas inside you, and you do not need the teacher from outside to say, do this, do that, and correct, and move your body and say, yeah, now it's perfect. Because then you changed an old way of autoconocimiento that you can, about auto-knowledge, that you can know yourself and your body in from inside. You changed it into the Western university world. I tell you, don't tell me, I tell you when you are correct, and there exists the perfect asana, and you have to learn it. And what all the wise men I learned in India, the perfect asanas does not exist. What can exist is that I am on a path to find it, and that I can really go on to find it inside. And then you say, it seems that I'm making every time the same thing, but I'm really diving deeper and deeper, and every session is totally different from the one before. Yeah. The path of arts, or being an artist, the spiritual path of art or artist, is also very interesting in the world today, where arts has so many definitions that it said there is no definition anymore. That is not on spiritual arts. There the definition is sort of clear, and I like it a lot. Pablo Amaringo, who was the first shaman indigenous from Peru, he became a really famous painter of all the visions you get during ayahuasca rituals. And he had started to paint them. And he had then classes, they still exist. You can go to Pucallpa and learn the way they paint the visions. And I worked with one of his students, and he said, Pablo Amaringa always said, yes, that you learn the technique to paint a nice picture. That is very easy, and you can create a big, beautiful picture. But a picture is, as an art object, is an object of power. It is a sacred power object with healing powers. And to do that, you have to lead a life which is according with spirit. You have to live a life where you feel that you are really okay with what you do. And if you have family, stay with your family. You don't go and have lover secrets somewhere. You don't go and drink and come drunken home. You don't hit your kids. All this you don't do. When you are an artist, a spiritual artist, that you lead a life which great spirit would accept and love. If not, this piece of art is not worth anything. So that is really interesting for me as an arts definition. And creating your own form, but at the same time that it's a piece of art. It's a piece of power. And the first time that I felt I would like to become an artist, coming from a family where art as a profession didn't exist or as something you do, was when I was in Bali and experienced the spiritual arts, what they were having, the dancing gods where people got obsessed, but the movements were totally clear and they could even put a crease, a sort of knife through them, and it was proven nothing happened to them. That was okay, maybe spectacular. But even more fascinating were when they were, for example, creating the Kachak dance. Every night I sat down and looked at the rehearsals, and that were still people. But the moment when I saw that it was really as a sacred offering performed, I mean, this beautiful dancer, where every movement was form, was totally taken over by the goddess, and all the men making chak 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 chak. You felt it's a powerful male energy telling this monkey story, the holy story between Sita and Ram. So that was something where I thought I can never do this, but this is a path I'm really interested in. And when I started to make theater, it was really, I felt that this is a sort of shamanic path, if you do it like this in Germany, where I was brought up, where I can explore things and contexts which I can explore in no other spaces. There are no other spaces for me in this moment. But I can explore what is it like to be a jaguar hunter who becomes a jaguar. Totally crazy, a totally magic story. And I can really go into the jungle. I can stay there. I can stay outside. I can speak with people. I can go into the zoo and see jaguars and start to feel with them every day. And so many things I can do to change something inside of myself. No, or another solo I had there, I was totally interested what is the power also of sexuality and female sexuality and freedom. And I told then the story of a call girl who was very famous, and she tells her life story, how she started in a house after the Second World War, in a house for kids without parents, and how she developed that she says, you say I'm only a whore, but I tell you, I am having influence in this moment. I am rich people and political men are coming to me. And I made this long way. Yes, I have been just simple whore, then I was this, but now I'm in my power and I even have influence on politics. So don't tell me my life is totally successful, even so it is not the success you would like to call success. And the way she treated sexuality and all this was for me totally interesting. It was also for me interesting to learn. I earned my money in this time as a taxi driver. And as a taxi driver, when the man wants to go to a whorehouse, you bring him and then you wait whether he really stay, and then you get some money from the prostíbulo, from the whorehouse. No. So suddenly I could sit there, and I'm coming from just a very average German family. My father had brought up Catholic. Sitting there in the whorehouse and looking, then you have little televisions and you can look what they do and where they go and how they sit and how they drink. And sometimes sitting towards there waiting when they were in the bar drinking. And then the Kurth, which for me was not humans, normal humans, that was something out of my reality, came in, and I felt, wow, that are just crazy women, normal women. They are not so different from me. Even they sell sex, so what does it mean? So it was very important play for me, and to explore this. So theater really meant for me explore aspects which for myself in the everyday life I couldn't explore. No, so arts can really help you to explore and then to express what you learned about different aspects through storytelling. Yes, so that is one part of the theater and of arts with special techniques expressing what you feel inside and giving it a form. No, it's also a path where when you really enter a theme, usually you come to the point which you also come to with going your spiritual paths, where it's not working anymore, where you feel you are totally not okay, you are totally bad, you are just crazy to think that you are an artist, you are just a pinch of nothing, what you do is not worth anything. You really go deep, deep down into depression. Many of the artists I know let go then, they just stop and say, okay, it's not for me. Others go through, others try to avoid it. If you avoid these phases, I found out in my life, every role I played and I avoided it and I just worked with technique, were never a role which was really there later in theater, no matter what the public says. And every role, when I went through this process, also of this, I cannot, it's not okay, it will never come out, and go back, usually had thought a depth, and I could act it later in a form that it's every time you act it out, it becomes better because it had a base. And the same is happening when you're on spiritual paths, that the dark night of the soul, they call it, where you suddenly experience that spirit, God left you, you alone. And all the beautiful moments of ecstasies you had before, they are just not there. And you can remember them somehow, but you don't feel anything. You feel left alone and you feel nothing makes sense. Your whole life is totally senseless. All what you did in your life was just not okay. It's just not worth anything. And the worst thing, you are totally disconnected from spirit. And then the only thing is the same. You can just start to trust that what you felt before, when you had the connection, was true, and that what's happening now, it's not true. And you just keep on making your rituals, making your meditation, making your prayers, going onto mountains, acting in theater, painting your picture, whatever you is your path in the moment, and you go through and go on. So during the time here where we work with these techniques from Tantra, Yoga, Art, and Shamanism, it also happened. The first week, the big energy is built up, And so with a lot of energy, you can let go of a lot of your patterns. You don't even have to fight them. High energy, life energy means that a lot of patterns, you start to see them and suddenly they melt away. Big gift, and you feel the worth of doing it together. What I said is not important whether you like them or not is even not important. Hey, we do this together, we have discipline, we sit here in the morning meditation, we go to classes, we suffer it together, and we enjoy it together. And so the second week, suddenly now the Widerstände, the resistance come up. Yeah, and then life is not so simple as you think. It's just bullshit and And then you can really explore your own resistance. You see it very well in the other persons. You don't see your own one as resistance. So some people get stomachache. Others get very tired and think, I need more sleep, I need more sleep, I cannot sleep enough here. Next person start to say, I hate everybody here. Everybody dancing on my nerves. I don't want to, I cannot stand these people anymore. Then some days before they were just everybody great and now it changed. So depending how you are, you get aggressive, you go inside, you get depressive, you get sick, you get something, but usually you have a crisis, And that is a technique, is start to communicate it. It doesn't mean that it directly changes, that the others have to understand you, but you start to learn, okay, if I communicate what's happening inside me with the others, they minimum understand and don't think it's their fault if I don't greet them today, or if I just give them, if they ask me, how are you, let me alone. Okay, what did I do wrong? No, the other person understands I didn't do anything wrong. I'm just biting today everybody who comes close. And then it's a very deep learning to say, I can be not social, I can be totally antisocial. When you communicate it, I'm always part of the group. I don't lose a group even if I hate them for a week or for 2 days. No. Another important teaching. And then from the third and fourth week on, you start to integrate all these different things what happen inside you. So that's why when you go out using these little capsules of powerful techniques, you can keep on doing the ones who really helped you, and you can feel you felt how it is if I'm not acting out of fear. nearly everybody who gets out here finds this point inside you where you think, wow, below there is a lake of freedom inside of me if this social fear is disappearing, which very often is not conscious. And going out with this, it is a total, you remember in times. You not always can act out of no fear, but you remember that there is this possibility. And we get a lot of feedbacks that people say we had a life before Durga's Tiger and after Durga's Tiger, because yes, they can remember. And what I say, the techniques are so simple that I can do them wherever I am, just to connect again and come back to my own wisdom. Okay, so that is the dance, the choreography we teach here of Tantra, Yoga, Art, and Shamanism. Little techniques that you experience yourself and you step into your power. Aho. Thank you for listening to our podcast. It was really great to share with you. I enjoyed it. And I would totally appreciate if you write us questions, insights, your wishes. You become co-creator of the next episodes. You find us under www.durgastigerschool.com and in our Instagram. So have a great day.